Hello, and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. Coming to you from Fission City, I'm your host, Dave Trumbore. Joining me today, as always, is our very own Sky Guy, Sean Paul Ellis. How's it going, sir?
David, I'm Jossam. How are you?
Oh, not as awesome as you, that's for sure. Oh boy. And as always, we've got Matt, can't stop moving or I'll die. Baron, how are you, my friend?
I think you both know that that is not true, but I am ready to rip up the streets.
I was going for shark irony in that one. Oh,
Right.
Good stuff. Fans of this wonderful series might know we're talking Street Sharks today. Talking Street Sharks. This is Baron's pick. We all hate it, so that's all you need to know. Next time on Saturday Morning Cartoons, we'll be talking. Now we're going to talk Street Sharks today. Man, it's rough. I'm going to give you a little bit of history. And then we'll get right into this. So Street Sharks, an American-Canadian animated television series about crime fighting, half man, half sharks. Pretty much all you need to know right there. Straight out the 90s. Good stuff. Of course, it was a DiC Entertainment production. It aired from 94 to 97. Apparently part of the Amazing Adventures lineup. I don't really remember a whole lot about that one, but I just wanted to tie that in because, as we mentioned on our previous show, and as you might have read in the news lately, Saturday morning cartoon blocks are over, so this was one of the great ones in mid-90s, or maybe not so great based on Street Sharks alone, probably pretty terrible. Later on, they paired this terrible show with probably another terrible show called Dino Vengers. The show eventually became Dino Vengers featuring Street Sharks, so if you wanted a lot of really shitty half-creature, half-man things for half an hour on your Saturday morning cartoon block, there it was. I'm really surprised that Sean hasn't mentioned this. Yeah, there he is, right on cue.
No, I mean, I want to jump in.
Do it.
And I want to say, I love dinosaurs.
Yeah, we know.
And I love anthropomorphic
Yeah.
animal, like human things. I don't know. There's a part of me, like, here's the thing, is that I get the sense from you and Baron that maybe you guys don't 100% love this show.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that came across or not when I said that we hate this
I'm
show.
not. Yeah, so I'm just, we'll leave it up for debate. Who knows?
No, that's what we're all here for. Yeah.
But I think here's my biggest thing is that I haven't convinced myself whether I love this show or hate this show.
So we'll find out in real time as we go through the
show.
So
I'm on the fence at the moment. I want to figure this out.
That's neat. Well, we'll find out with you, dear listeners, whether Sean actually likes this mess or not. Well, if you like it, you have David Siegel and Joe Galliani to thank. They were the creators of this. I do not thank them, and if you are listening, I would like to have words with you. Mostly because here's one of the. This will tell you pretty much the bar. This will set the bar right here. Every single episode of Street Sharks has the word shark in the title. Not necessarily a shark pun or a reference to a type of shark, just the actual word shark. That's about as creative as they got with it. So, there you go. That's the bar. Set about as low as you can go. That's it for me in history. I'm going to turn it over to Baron. He's going to walk you through a little bit more of a detailed idea of what the show is actually about.
Okay, so this overflowing trash can of a show is based on a story that two university professors actually, Dr. Robert Bolton, who is the father of the ill-fated youths who were turned into the Street Sharks, and his partner, Dr. Luther Paradigm, created a machine known as the Gene Slammer, which basically combined other DNAs, it was aquatic DNA in the show, with human DNA, creating a half-human, half-aquatic creature hybrid.
Yeah, so kind of like tiger sharks 10 years later.
Kinda. Yeah, but, that's pretty much it.
That's it. That's all I need to know.
Yep. Set the groundwork in 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. No, this one had, so we've talked about like pilot episodes on the show before. We've also talked about a few that had like a little mini series that actually started the whole series off. Some of them, well, this obviously was to launch or to promote a toy line from Mattel. So it's kind of like a test. They do like a test market kind of thing. They'll make a few episodes, and then if enough people watch it or if they sell enough toys, they'll just pump more of these things out. And this is what happened with Street Sharks. They did sort of a 3-episode miniseries as a starter, and that was technically their first of 3 seasons. So it was only 3 episodes. We watched those 3. I went through that pain and suffering for you, dear listeners, and we're going to tell you how it all went down. But before we go on to that, Yeah, Sean, what's up?
Oh, I was gonna say, I don't know if we wanted to mention this or not, but there was actually a one of the voice actors for this show has gone on to critical acclaim.
Oh, who's that? I missed that one.
It's Andrew Rannells.
Okay.
He is best known for being in the original cast of the Broadway musical The Book of Mormon.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Well, good for him. I thought you were being sarcastic there for a little
I'm
bit.
not being. I'm not.
Sean's
I'm not
being
being
serious,
jerk.
everybody. It's a crazy day.
He is fantastic.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Now, which one? Okay. Oh, okay. So he played the cool brother. He played
He played
Streaks. Okay. All right. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel good about the Book of Mormon. Not so much about Streaks the Street Shark.
Well, he also played my other favorite villain on the show as well.
You wanna let people know who that is, or you wanna tease them until we get to the villains?
He doesn't come in until a little bit later, but his name is Shrimp Louie.
Oh boy.
Um,
I've got a picture
I
in my
can't
head.
wait. I can't wait till we get to the one, the French villain Crab Bisque. But,
yeah.
Le Crabe
Well,
Bisque.
do we want to let's let's transition into some of these villains.
Wow, you want to go straight to the villains? Straight to
I'm
it.
gonna go straight to the villains.
All right,
I'll
we'll
go
save
straight to
the title
villains.
characters for the end, so you can we'll paint a picture of what these guys are going up against, and then we'll tell you
So,
about the title characters.
Yeah. So these oh boy.
Yeah.
So this is what kills me is that so I was looking for like a consolidated picture or like idea of
Right.
all of these different villains. And I guess I may have missed this at some point in time, but they call themselves the like. Here's what blows my mind is that this literally took me like 30 to 45 seconds of me looking at my computer screen today, just going, what the hell does this mean? They are called the Seviots.
Yes, the Sevians.
Like Seviots, kind of like deviates or like deviants.
Yeah, is there an N in there?
Is that Seviots? Is that? Yeah, there's no N. Like I
There's no
don't get
N.
it. That was the closest thing that I was
Now
like,
I
this
remember
means, like,
seeing
a
that, and I
deviant?
just did not care enough to figure it out. But I do remember seeing it now.
And
Yeah, I gotta look at that again.
they like this group of like villains, like they gave themselves the name like the Seviots. And
The
so
Sevians.
I don't know.
I don't know
you
what that's
but
about. It might
this-
be something that's too smart for us to pick up on, or something that's just really terrible.
I feel like there's really there's like intelligent wordplay that's behind this, and like my
Is
brain
there?
was only able to come up with like deviant, and I'm just like, what is this? I don't get it.
I mean,
So-
considering the fact that one of these villains is called Slobster, I don't know how creative these names really are.
I cannot wait to call somebody a slobster.
Slobster is my favorite.
I'm keeping that one in the pocket for later.
Dude, that one was my absolute favorite. I love. Okay, so Baron mentioned earlier that these things, these creatures, these Seviots, are basically just humanoid type creatures, but they've been gene slammed, so they got different types of like DNA just smashed together with, for whatever reason, aquatic animal DNA. We should probably talk about the mastermind behind this, Dr. Luther
Right.
Paradigm. Dr. Luther Paradigm.
So, Dr. Luther Paradigm, with Dr. Bolton, created the Gene Slammer.
Yeah.
Dr. Paradigm really wanted to be able to use this in order to augment genes. I believe Dr. Bolton and him had a difference of opinion.
Yeah, you could say that.
Because that's how pretty much the first minute and a half of this show plays out.
Here's the weirdest part. Like it starts with this like the shadowy character like breaking into a lab, and you're like, oh,
Right.
some shit's about to go down. And then he's just like, I'm a good doctor. And like, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Like you have credentials to get
Yeah,
in there, buddy.
it's your
like, Nobody's
place.
preventing. It's your lab, asshole. Like, just walk in. Like, who was he trying? It doesn't matter.
No, it
anyway,
doesn't matter.
But I want to talk about the dad so much later. So
We'll get to him once we
dog ear that page.
Okay.
I want to jump back to that guy.
Sure.
So this whole thing, Dr. Paradigm, at some point in this mini-series, I think in the second episode of the mini-series, he gets injected with piranha. He gets gene slammed with piranha genes.
Yeah, DNA
or
accidentally.
DNA.
Yeah.
And so it's evidently it's not enough to make him full on piranha.
Nah, just a little touch. Yeah.
He's got a touch of the piranha.
Yeah.
Like
just a whiff, just a taste
of the.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a tiny little pinch of piranha.
Oh, it's enough though.
And so, yeah, it's enough. And it's funny because like he from that point forward in the entire show, he wears like this kind of giant exoskeleton suit.
Yeah, he's like Krulos from Dino Riders. Kind of that same kind of suit.
Exactly.
Yeah, except it's got like crazy like harpoons and like grappling hooks and claws and laser guns, all kinds of crazy shit, crazy 90s shit.
He is able to revert to human form.
Yeah.
When he is calm and collected.
Right.
But when he gets fussy, as we'll say.
When he gets hangry.
When he gets hangry. Oh boy, I can relate to that. When he gets hangry, he full on turns into Dr. Paranoid at that point.
Yeah.
And so that is a creepy transformation because unlike the transformation that we see the Street Sharks, like you consistently see this transformation go back and forth, and it is like it's creepy. It's very disturbing.
Put a pin in that one though, because I definitely want to, when we talk about the Street Sharks and what happened to them to transform them into these title characters, there is one moment that made me cringe, and I still cannot shake that,
really?
that image. Yeah. So
just one.
Just one. In a different kind of cringe center of my brain. This one will haunt me. But anyway, so Dr. Luther Paradigm not only becomes Dr. Paranoid later on in the series, he doesn't learn from his mistakes, and he accidentally gene slams his own self with iguana DNA. Apparently he mistook that for Velociraptor DNA because that's an easy mistake to make.
Right.
And was renamed. I'll let you have the crowning glory here.
Dr. Iguana.
There it is, my friends.
I love how the Gene Slammer also came up with like third grade silhouette pictures of the animals that you were picking. So I'm kind of concerned that a man with a PhD cannot pick out the proper silhouette.
He's like, iguana, velociraptor. Nah, that's probably fine. I got it. I got this. I'm a real smart guy with a metal eye patch. I know what's going on. Yeah, if you were wondering, like, I wonder what this guy looks like, and if he looks like he could be a villain. Yeah, 100% villain. There's no mistaking it.
Oh, absolutely.
Regardless of his like Eastern Bloc voice or his random jabbing of strangers with like animal DNA to turn them into creatures. All that aside, he's bald. He's got an eye patch, and that's pretty much all I need to know. Anyone out there who's listening who's bald with an eye patch, I feel bad for you.
Yes, 100%. If you are bald with an eye patch and
you must just constantly be confused as a villain.
Yeah, just be a villain, guy. just embrace it, because it's not going to get better. Just be the best villain you can be.
Be the worst person you can.
There you go.
So, Dr. Paranoid's Bebop and Rocksteady are Slash and Slopster.
Yep.
And
the aforementioned
Slash is a swordfish, and Slopster is a slobbering lobster who really only slobbers maybe once, but they just begin calling him Slopster.
Well, here's a real quick moment. There's one point where Slopster has been created. They don't really say like, oh, his thing is slobbering on people. They just show one of the humans that is like under his, like in his, he's been captured by Slobster, and you just see a close up on the human's face, and he's like wriggling, trying to get out, and then he just gets like this spooge just smatters his face, and you're just like, where the fuck did that come from, and what is happening right now? That's really the only time you see Slopster's little character trait there. That was disturbing. Not the one I was talking about earlier, but that was certainly disturbing. My favorite part about Slopster though was his DNA creation, because it wasn't just like, oh, let's just take lobster DNA and make it evil. No. He also had, for whatever reason, Paradigm has DNA samples of Genghis Khan and Captain Thomas Blood, and he's like, oh, we should probably just put these two things together with DNA of a lobster and see what happens. And you get Slopster. It is the weirdest thing ever. And then, because Slopster throughout the series, he keeps saying stuff like, oh, I know how to scare people, or oh, I know how to put on a mean disposition. And you're just kind of like, why are you saying that?
Why are you saying
And then you
this?
think back, you're like, oh, he's channeling Genghis Khan and Captain Thomas Blood, I guess, maybe, as a lobster.
He's like, if you made like one offhanded comment once to somebody, and then you just continued to go back and hit that same bullet point over and over and over again in conversation with your friends would be like, we're no longer friends with you.
No.
Like,
That's why Slopster is a jerk. He has no friends.
Leave us alone.
Dude, even Slash is not his friend. They do not get along all that well. They rarely talk to each other. They don't.
So here's the thing. Slash is a swordfish.
Apparently.
Who evidently was he gene slammed also with like a
power drill?
Like a fracking drill? Like what?
Yes, exactly.
Like, what the hell? Like he has like I know what a swordfish looks like.
Not
right?
like this.
Does
not look like this.
If you are Googling swordfish right now and you're just like, oh, that's what a swordfish looks like. Now remove the actual like long bony piece that makes it a swordfish and just put like a drill that you would imagine
a gold-plated drill.
Like, gold-plated drill that you were just like, I'm gonna drill into the center of the earth.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of those things that they used to travel around in Ninja Turtles. What's that?
Oh, like the Technodrome?
Thing? Yeah.
Where the Technodrome? Because he would drill through places. He the
exactly.
Technodrome. Yeah.
And when I saw it, I was like, not only is it not a stationary bone piece, it's also not even bone.
We don't know what the hell it is.
And how the hell does it spin?
I have no idea.
And I believe it makes a machine noise.
I think it might. Well, the character design of these things is so bizarre to begin with. We were talking about this offline. Like, this comes out of the 80s era of, like, steroids and bodybuilding, where your upper body, your torso and your arms are fucking massive. Like, you have no neck.
Yeah.
It goes straight from your ear to your shoulder, and there's no, like, litheness to it. There's no flexibility. You're just a wall of muscle. And then below the waist is just these spindly little legs. And that's exactly what these guys look like. They are all just face and torso.
It's poor balance. I mean, they might be able to punch something, but ask them to stand on one leg for more than a minute. I mean, these guys are going to topple.
Yeah, just right over, man.
And they do.
They do. Constantly.
And consistently. Like,
and it's not even the villains. It's the good guys, too. Yeah, it's the Street Sharks, too. Which I think is a good time to roll into them, unless you guys had any more on Slash and Slopster.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't have anything about these jerks. I just want to say they're like, Dr. Paranoid eventually, like, sort of, it's not like a villain of the week scenario.
Right.
But, like, there are a couple villains that, like, he creates, like, down the road.
Yeah.
And so there's, I wanted to mention them. There is Killamari.
Oh, that's my favorite name, I think, other than Shrimp Louie.
Well, there's Reptile, who's like part reptile. He's like part.
He's kind of like a snake.
Electric eel.
Yeah, he's like a snake eel with a mohawk.
An electric eel. Yeah. There's Tentakill.
Oh boy, he might as well be a Pokemon.
And Sharkbot.
Sharkbot, I missed that one. I'm looking at
Sharkbot's created towards the end of like season 2.
Yeah.
Sharkbot. As like a way to like kind of like fight the Street Sharks.
Yeah, as you do.
Like, look, here's the thing. It doesn't fucking matter.
I'm looking at one right now called Clamando.
and then just Shrimp Louie. And Shrimp Louie is the best.
Hold on, did you hear Clamando? I don't know if you heard that one or not. It sounds like a venereal disease. Clamando.
Is it any better than Moby Lick?
Oh yeah, I forgot about Moby Lick.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes indeed, sir.
I feel like for a lot of, or like El Sordo, I feel like there's a lot of like oh man, I don't know this. I mean, with the combination of the dinosaurs like later on with them doing the Dino Avenger like crossover, this show is a clusterfuck of bad names.
Oh, it's terrible.
Like of just like really low hanging fruit, terrible names where people were just like, he's a shrimp, and the guy who drove the cab and worked his name was Shrimp Louie.
Yeah, Shrimp Louie.
Shrimp Louie. Done.
Here, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm looking at
like,
Clamando's character page right now, and it says, here's the description: Clamando was a half man and half oyster. Not even a clam. They're calling him an oyster, but couldn't come up with a name. And I kid you not, he debuts in an episode titled Shark to the Future. I fucking hate this show.
Yeah.
I cannot
Yeah.
express
There's
that
any-
enough.
It would be
oh,
better
okay,
if
so
they
here's
had
the-
like the oyster was a sort of Monopoly Man character, and they called him Oysters Rockefeller.
Yeah.
That would be even better.
See, please write for this show,
that's so
Baron,
good.
because that is actually brilliant. The only thing that could be better is if the show never existed. That's it.
So you're gonna. So Dave.
Shoot.
Here's the thing.
Oh, buddy.
You are gonna hate the fact that I know we've been joking about like the Gene Slammer.
Yeah.
All right. But in the beginning of season 3, Dr. Paradigm creates something called the Time Slammer.
No.
Which is a time machine.
No, it's
yes,
not.
100,
Don't do it.
100%.
Oh.
And so this Time Slammer allows them to go back and forth in time and have various escapades.
No.
And so it's just oof.
I never would have made it. I barely made it through these first 3 episodes, man. I was struggling. I was having a real tough time.
Yeah,
Well,
Sean, I've
let's-
really got to congratulate you. I mean, your threshold for pain is quite high.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You're kind of a
I really-
sadist. Like, you're like...
Well, I didn't watch because that episode is season 3, episode 1. I did not watch it.
Okay.
For a lot of these, like I ended up like reading through because here's the thing. I was super fascinated by how this show plays out, and I'll get into this more later. But there were a lot of things that are just so unique about this show that are just it's so interesting to me that just like it blew my mind. But I don't want to detract from us talking about our 4 heroes.
Yeah, definitely. We got to talk about these guys because you think like, all right, these villains are supposed to be terrible and they're supposed to be kind of dumb and they're supposed to be able to be beaten. Well, of course. So we got to talk about our title characters, the Street Sharks. Now, Sean wanted to talk about Dr. Bolton earlier. There's an important reason he wanted to do that. I mean, maybe it was just he wanted to talk about the character itself, but that character does have an important tie-in to the title characters. So do you want to talk about him a little bit now? Since he's kind of the reason that we have the Street Sharks too.
Oh, sure. So Dr. Bolton has 4 sons.
Yeah.
And
Not
his
one is named
4
Michael, though, I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I know.
No Michael.
I was fingers crossed.
He's the black
that it
sheep of
would
the
have
family.
happened.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, well, we can hope.
So, Dr. Bolton goes missing. His 4 sons are given information about how they can connect with their father,
Which
They
I
go and
absolutely
they see-
loved.
Which it was. We'll get into that in a bit.
we'll save it.
But, like it's one of those things where like they go out to seek their father and they are captured by Slopster Slash and Dr. Paradigm, and they are turned at that point into the titular characters.
Yeah, now let's talk about each of these characters a little bit. Just kind of in general terms. We don't have to get into specifics, but they're kind of introduced to us as like very just stock characters. Like you've got a brainy one, a brawny one, a cool dude, and then somebody who just does not give a shit. Just like the stoner, lazy guy, just doesn't care.
It's Ninja Turtles.
Straight up Ninja Turtles ripoff.
Yeah, and I was
Straight up
going to
Ninja
say,
Turtles.
it's an amazing 80s stereotype. I mean, amazing.
They literally just looked at the template of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and were just like, all right, they're sharks now. They're going to be a little more roided out, and go. That was it. That's all. There's even a moment, I don't know if you guys caught this or not. There's a moment later on where all 4 of the Street Sharks are together. I think it's in the 2nd or 3rd
Yes,
episode. You
I
caught
know
that?
I know what you're talking about.
Do you want to say it now, or do you want to wait for that too?
There is a moment where they are back in their friend.
Right.
Is it Ben's? They're back in
Ben's.
Ben's base.
Bends. Like if you go
Bends.
too deep and in the water and then rise too quickly, you get the bends. That's what they named
I was
this
just
guy
gonna say
after.
if you lean over, you bend over.
Or that
you know.
too, but
So,
whatever. That's
so-
what the show did. Bend over.
Yeah, I definitely felt like I was done.
Uh-huh.
So
Getting Gene slammed.
Aw.
jeez. Oh boy. So
I'm sorry, I need a moment.
There is a moment. There is a moment in the 2nd episode where they're back at their friend Ben's like his hideout.
Yeah.
That they are now using as their HQ, and they are there with I believe the other scientist that is there. Is it Lana?
Lena.
Lena,
Lena,
thank you,
who's
Lena.
the worst. We'll talk about Lena a little bit later too.
They're there with Lena, and they're just like, we can go get some. The sharks are all understandably very hungry.
Yeah.
A lot has happened in their life.
Yeah.
They've gone through some changes. And so at some point, one of them suggests, I can go get some pizza. And they just all simultaneously just go, ew,
Yeah,
like,
they like freeze for a moment, and there's like that crickets moment for a second. Just kind of like, oh, are they gonna eat pizza like the turtles? No, they definitely do not want it. I love that moment.
Oh, they want hamburgers and milkshakes.
Yeah, they just want burgers and fries and milkshakes. Yeah, who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
But that's that moment. So yeah.
All right. So the leader of this group is.
If you can even call him that, he's basically just like, I think he's just like the oldest brother.
Yeah.
He doesn't really lead anything. They're all just fucking insane monster creatures. They're just terrible. There's no rhyme or reason. They're awful.
So they I don't even know if we need to refer to them by their
human names. No, because they never really do.
Because they never use them.
When they call each other on the giant like football-sized cell phones, that's the only time that they maybe reference each other by name. So yeah, you can just call them like the. Well, let me ask Matt. Matt, did you have like a favorite?
Well, there's like a bye-bye birdie montage in the beginning where they like call each other.
Yeah.
And they're just like, hey, Dad wants to meet us at the we gotta go down the I-18 to.
It's a race.
Nuclear. Yeah, it's a race.
So bad.
So bad. But so anyway, the leader of the group is Ripster.
Well, I wanted to ask Matt real quick if he had a favorite one from these before we get into it, because some of them, they all have a very like distinct, not only their personalities but like their character design too, because they're all modeled after different sharks. Did you have like a favorite?
Okay, I kind of have like two half favorites.
Okay, that adds up to a whole, I guess.
I like Ripster's design.
Yeah.
Like, because his was just like the least cheesy.
Wow.
Like, the least awful.
Okay.
And then Streaks.
Okay.
Because the like 80s cool dude stereotype was just cracking me up. And the fact that I don't believe he ever took his inline skates off was amazing.
They just grew like into his shark feet, basically. Which I don't know what a shark feet is, but man. But yeah, so we got Ripster. So to mention, to follow off of what Baron said, Ripster is basically like the great white shark. He's supposed to look like the great white. So he's basically just a giant head full of teeth on a couple legs. That's all he is. The character design in these things is so bizarre that it's just a giant mouth, more or less. It was so weird just watching him run around. It was so disturbing to me. I just could not get over it. I don't know if you guys felt the same, but I was just, I was creeped out by the whole thing.
When his teeth came in, that was the worst.
Yeah, it was slightly disturbing.
It's a little bit alarming.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Teeth.
All the teeth. So he's the great white. Who do you want to talk about next? Who do you want to take on next? I guess we can talk Streaks, since Matt mentioned him too. Yeah, the cool guy. The ladies' man, apparently. I don't know how you're a ladies' man when you're a fucking shark, but whatever.
Well, because he like, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, because he's still referencing back to like when he was a human.
Oh,
like
right.
That one moment where he's just like, "Oh, I had a date tonight." Just shut up. You got other priorities now.
You got other stuff. Go eat burgers, dick.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Stay on point.
The one that was probably the most obvious was the hammerhead one, I would think.
Sure.
You think there was a hammerhead? I mean, the most, maybe not the most obvious, but like the most
no.
characteristic.
It was Jab.
Yeah, Jab, who was kind of the hammerhead.
Jab. Right.
Yeah, he might be the most.
So I actually liked his. I was confused because a lot of like, it feels like a lot of their names are basically just like cool street lingo action verbs.
Because it wasn't even like Ripster kind of makes sense on both sides. Like, he can be the great white, obviously rips up a bunch of like whale blubber and shit.
Yeah.
And also as like a Ripster on the street is like, yeah, we get it. Jab doesn't do anything just because he liked to box in like his spare time as a kid. It means nothing.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even make sense because like a majority of the time, like, he headbutts people because he's a hammerhead. Like, he doesn't really jab people.
No,
it's like
unless it's with his
face. Whatever. It's not gonna try to
Please
over-intellectualize
don't. Please don't do that. But I will tell you this.
So I'll just put it this way: Jab's a hammerhead. Doesn't fucking matter.
Nope, and it doesn't. Nothing else matters. Here's my favorite name, transformation, and creature that he represents. Okay, so Coop is like the big, brawny, dumb brother who in the beginning is like kind of wearing a football uniform, but one of those like weird like Playgirl football uniforms where it's all like torn up and there's not much to it, and he just like is running down it. Yeah, cops. And he's just running down a football field like by himself and just smashes into a goalpost and breaks the thing off. So it's very obvious that he's the big dumb animal of the group. He is supposed to be a whale shark, which is one of the largest yet most gentle creatures in the sea. So that's kind of strange. His name's Big Slamoo. Right? Big Slamoo. I love that name. I love it.
So one of the characters in Getting Gene Slammed.
Oh boy.
His steamed porno.
Big Slamoo. Here's more terrifying than what Matt just said is his transformation. The other ones, like Matt said, with the teeth coming in and they're stretched all crazy, distortions. His freaked me out because it looked like his face stayed human. It just looked like what a human face would look like if you just stretched it out like to its capacity.
It was a terrible protein transformation. Like
awful.
It was horrible.
Awful. I can still see it, and I don't want it in my mind anymore. It's
bad. I wanna just go so. They get named. They have two human friends. They have Ben's, who's sort of like he creates all the gadgets that they have, even though like they have a brother that
supposedly
even though Rickster is smart and can do that
occasionally
he's never gonna do that crap.
Nope, because he's got shark hands.
So Ben's so Ben's makes all the random stuff for them.
Oh, like what, Sean? Like what would these shark characters need to get around the city?
They would need like a sweet dune buggy, like a jacked up dune buggy, and like two sweet motorbikes that would like just happen to be able to support the enormous amount of weight that would be required for a human shark fucking hybrid.
Well, look, here is a perfect opportunity, I think, to just get into a general overview of these first 3 episodes. We're at about the halfway mark, so I want to get into the episodes before we run out of time. But it's important that we bring it up here because when these characters, these human characters, are introduced, they are kind of paired off with different vehicles or modes of transportation to kind of give them like a flavor of their personality and their characteristics. It all breaks down as part of that race. But before we even get to the race, did we mention this already? That okay, so we've got Dr. Bolton, and we've got Dr. Paradigm. They obviously have a bit of a fight. Did we mention what happens to Dr. Bolton?
Oh, we can, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we should, because it's interesting.
So Dr. Paradigm injects Dr. Bolton, who is the father of these 4 boys, all right, soon to be sharks, spoiler alert. He gets injected with some gene slammed mystery cocktail. All right, turns into something crazy that is never seen on camera. There is a weird shape that he becomes that is nondescript, and then Dr. Paradigm is just kind of marvels at what he's created, and then this thing slinks off into nowhere, and you never hear from it again.
You never see it again. Here's the other thing that's interesting. So I had to look into this because I was like, all right, I got to look up Dr. Bolton. I got to see if they ever show what he turns into. From what I've found, no. You never see what he turns into. They say the only thing you ever see him as is like a shadow and occasionally a voice, and he's kind of like this, this shadowy figure that kind of helps his boys throughout their escapades occasionally.
Ugh.
That's it.
I mean, here's the thing.
Yeah.
This show went for 40 episodes.
Right. Which is
they never resolved the main catalyst. They never resolved the main plot point of this entire fucking show.
Can I tell you this catalyst? Because I love it. Okay, so Sean just walked you through what happens to Dr. Bolton. At this point, Bolton's off, slinking around, being a weirdo in the shadows. You never see him again. So Paradigm's like, wow, holy shit, that was pretty cool. I got to kind of play God. I would like to continue doing this. He goes, he's like,
who wouldn't?
So my favorite part of this was, okay, you've already been introduced to Dr. Paradigm. Bald guy, Eastern Bloc accent, kind of muscled out, metal eye patch, just jabbed his competitor with a mystery cocktail of animal DNA that turned him into a monster creature, created 2 of his own monster creatures. We get the idea that he's a bad guy. Now, cut to, he walks right into the bioengineering hall of the local Fission City College, and it turns out that he is just like the PhD. What's the word?
The faculty
Yes,
advisor.
he is a faculty advisor, my friends.
Like, what was her name?
Lena.
Laura.
Lena. Yeah.
I love that her lack of questioning of his
Yeah.
murderous intent was, oh, he's my faculty advisor.
Yeah, she literally. This is a line that she says. She says that to her, to Benz. She says, "Oh, it's my faculty advisor." I'm like, "Your faculty advisor is a psychotic monster. Like, this is bad stuff." I just love that they introduced him in like such a horrific way, and then he just walks into a campus and he's just like, "Oh, hey, what's up? Let me talk to Dr. Bolton." So at this point, she says, "Oh, you spoke to Dr. Bolton?" And he just looks dead at her, and he's like, "Just make the call," because he tells her to call his sons so that he can kidnap them and turn them into monster-free creatures too. I just love the path of the writing of this episode, that they were just kind of like, yeah, this is the direction we're going. We're gonna have this guy walk into campus. He's gonna make a call. He's gonna tell the kids to meet him where, my friends?
At an old nuclear power plant.
Yeah, he's like, oh, your dad said, hey boys, why don't you meet me at the old nuclear power plant in 15 minutes? You can't get anywhere in 15 minutes. Especially not the old nuclear power plant, no.
Or not in like
Fission City, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, it looked like, I mean...
it was basically like a California coastal town, is more or less what it was.
I mean, like, they started off by, like, the helicopter, like, eye in the sky going. He's like, it's a sinkhole of a day.
Now, please,
like, all right, well,
let's talk about Sky Guy, because he is this...
Sky Guy
so, we've talked about, like, wipes and stuff before, like the Brave Star wipe, the Cops wipe, all those different types of wipe. This show doesn't really have a wipe. They kind of do. But for the most part, the transition between scenes is Sky Guy. Did you pick up on that? I thought that was interesting. Incredibly annoying, but kind of interesting.
There was one wipe that they had that was just like, once they had turned into the sharks.
Yeah.
It was I think it was Ripster's head, and it just kind of comes out.
Yeah, it just eats the screen. It just chomps the screen down.
That's it.
And that's either their close at the end of an episode or their like transition to commercial. That's it. But mostly it's this asshole in a helicopter who's like the traffic guy, just flying around, running into the signs, and like just giving you the play-by-play. It was so fucking irritating. So irritating. Right. Yeah.
But I mean, so here, like, I let's get into this.
Yeah.
You know, like, a big overall level.
Right.
All right. Like spanning over this 3-part miniseries. Okay. For like the additional episodes that I've watched, they never brought Sky Guy back in.
Thank God.
Was he somebody that like really just served as kind of like a I don't know, as like a plot device?
Yeah, he kind of got some of the
those 3
exposition out.
episodes?
Yeah, because he did the transition between scenes, because he's like, okay, here's where we are, here's what's happening, and now let's go to the scene. I mean, it was kind of an interesting idea, because he was like live reporting on the scene. Oh, we got these shark characters again. They used him way too much and was really fucking irritating.
Like, so I thought that maybe Sky Guy was like the show's clever way at providing commentary on how like media, like the 24-hour news cycle, like in current like media during like a crisis situation is never very helpful. In fact, it usually just, exacerbates the situation.
It did kind of remind me of, this is going to be a really, really weird reference that I hope that you guys get. Predators 2, okay? Predators 2. Do you remember the guy that was like the news guy that kept getting in the face of the cops, and eventually they like punch him in the mouth, and he's like, police brutality, and he's like, did you get that on camera? He reminded me of that guy.
Yeah.
So that kind of like in your face aggressive media, the paparazzi kind of thing. He was kind of like that. You never see the dude. He's just a voice in a helicopter.
Right.
But they do interact with the street sharks later on when they get into a feeding frenzy.
You see Sky Guy's silhouette more than you see Dr. Bolton's silhouette.
Exactly. So maybe they're one and the same. Probably not.
Oh my God.
He turned into Sky Guy. He just is the helicopter.
My God.
He injected him with helicopter DNA. Yeah. Because that's how science works in cartoons, kids.
That transformation where like his spine becomes the rotor and then just
this is a crazy sidebar, but how did Turbo Teen never get rebooted into like multiple different vehicles? I will never know. I'll never know.
I don't know, because when he got in the car accident, he was in the car that he turned into.
Yeah.
So if he would have like crashed in like a
He's in the grill of the truck.
like a
Yeah.
jet ski,
Yeah.
he's
Crashed into a jet ski.
yeah, if he would have crashed in that ray as like a jet ski, he would have been only able to. That show would have been totally
Very
different
different
because
show.
He would have been absolutely worthless on land.
Yeah.
Like sea, bitchin'. Like land, where a majority of the adventures happen, totally worthless.
And for longtime
Yeah.
listeners, he would have been invited to join our jet ski gang. So yeah.
Jet ski
See
gang.
how it all comes together?
I mean,
Oh Christ.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, even on land, Turbo Team was pretty.
He was pretty useless. Pretty useless.
All right, so
So let's
they
jump ahead.
go-
Yeah, we talked about these guys, these kids. They get turned into the sharks, and then for the next like 2.5 episodes, I don't even understand what the point of it was. They're all just running around causing havoc. There's kind of like an overplot of Paradigm trying to get them back into his lair at different points for different reasons, but at the same time, he's like playing the media, saying that Dr. Bolton was the ones that made these monstrosities, and he's trying to frame the
Right.
street sharks as like these evil characters. Meanwhile, he's being turned into a water-breathing piranhoid creature himself, so it's kind of a hard sell. But yeah, oh man,
It's like here's the craziest thing that
Ooh.
like I wrote this in my notes in all caps because
Okay.
I got so frustrated with this. All right, so when Dr. Paradigm kidnaps these boys and he gene slams them,
Yeah.
all right, why on earth would you gene slam them with the most aggressive predators in the fucking sea, you dum dum?
here's
Why would you do that?
and look, to go a point further than that, he captures them, I don't know, 3 or 4 times throughout this series
Yes.
in 3 episodes. At one point, okay, so he not only has these incredibly aggressive, incredibly powerful street sharks now, he recaptures them and is like, awesome, I've got you. I'm going to take out every remaining shred of your humanity and make you into more aggressive and powerful creatures. I'm
Yeah.
like, wait a second. What the fuck is his plan? Like, what is your endgame Paradigm? What are you thinking? So I still, to this day, have no idea what that was supposed
And
to
I
be
mean-
about. No clue.
And you get an idea by the end of the like this mini series
Yeah.
that like Dr. P's like ultimate goal is that like he wants to continue to
Gene slam.
mutate. He wants to get. I'm sorry, I'm just having a hard time saying gene
I know, it's
slamming.
really-
Like,
it creeps me out.
The science behind this is like it's so juvenile.
Yes, that's a
It's
great
so,
word.
It's so juvenile. Like when you think about like gene slam, you're like, oh yeah, that makes 100%. Like I don't know, when this show came out when I was like 13, 14 years old,
Yeah.
like if somebody had been like, oh yeah, they just slammed their genes together and they made new shit, I'd been like, oh yeah, that makes 100%
Yeah, I got it. I'm
sense.
13.
But, like,
That makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It's just like that. Okay, great. But like now you're just like, oh boy. Like I mean, I guess it's hard to kind of like look at this with like cynic eyes now.
I
But,
remember
like,
loving
I
it as a
guess- I
kid.
guess
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the idea of like gene slamming when I was a kid, and this is what I'm conflicted about. Like, I think a lot of the ideas when I was a kid, and I would have watched this, I would have really enjoyed it. And I remember watching at least 1 or 2 episodes of this, And so like there are things that like when I said that like I'm not decided on this because there's like a 13, 14-year-old in me
Right.
that is just like you enjoy this kind of crap, like you dig this, but like. Now watching it, there's so many like little things that like I'm nitpicking,
Oh,
and
well-
I'm doing it like I'm doing it constantly.
Right.
Like I do it in my daily life, and I just it's
Well,
one of those things where
yeah,
I'm just
but-
like, oh boy, like there's so much stuff. And Dave, I know that we kind of like glossed over like those 3 episodes.
Oh,
but
it doesn't
that's
matter.
What it is. It's like an ADD haze.
It really
Like, you
is.
just walk
It's
out
just
of it,
there's
you're just
no
like, what the
straight
fuck
plot.
happened?
I mean, the first 2 episodes kind of like rehash the same kind of things. That middle one doesn't really do anything. They don't like
anything.
develop. They don't.
Except turn Dr. Paranoid into
Yeah, Paradigm to
the
Paranoid.
yeah,
Yeah.
Paranoid,
Which
yeah.
here's a great line. So maybe now's a good time to talk about some of their various war cries and some of their lines that they use
Yes, yes.
constantly. So at one point, Sean talked about the transformation of Paradigm to Paranoid earlier. They are standing around him as he's going through this transformation, which I think is hysterical to begin with. And they're like, Dr. Paradigm? Like, oh, buddy, are you okay? Like, they're really concerned about him.
Yeah, I know.
And then another one goes, forget Paradigm, he's a piranha now. And then they go, because they have to, like, coin his name, right? They're like, then that makes him Dr. Paranoid. I'm like, fuck this show
boy.
and everything it stands for, which is nothing.
So
Does it stand
you-
for
Nope,
anything?
not a
'Cause I
damn
don't
thing.
think-
Not
no,
a
it
damn
doesn't.
thing.
Doesn't at all.
So give me some of
power of
your.
marketing.
So
Yeah, exactly.
Dave, you bring up probably the craziest point in that 3-episode miniseries.
Right.
All right, is that there is a level of acceptance with the things that are said, like all of their things. Like these 4 brothers
Yeah.
seem to be in sync,
Oh yeah.
like with everything possible that goes on in their lives.
They're just
So,
ready
mean,
for anything.
you kind of get the idea that like they're close, they're not kind of close, like they have separate interests, because they had to trope them out and they had
Right.
to bucket them into certain shit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like if they just would have been like, I don't know, if they would have just been like 4 hulking brutes that just smashed and destroyed everything that they came in contact with, it would have been boring as fuck. But what do I know? So they try to give them a little bit of personality, which gets totally wiped
Yep.
when they turn into a shark.
Yep.
All right, completely wiped. All right, so like anything that they set up in episode 1 in terms of them being individuals,
Gone.
Nope, no more.
Gone.
100% gone.
There are
Like, it
there are
doesn't
moments,
fucking-
there are
doesn't fucking
glimmers,
matter.
there are very brief moments where they're like, oh, we're really in a jam here. Maybe we should go back to that thing that we set up in the first episode where I was a smart person, and then I can get us out of this. But once, that's it. In the 3 episodes, they use that like a character trait literally once for about 15 seconds, and even then they manage to fuck it up because he does something really stupid. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that at the
there
end.
What was it? There was in episode 3.
Yeah.
When Dr. Paranoid has launched he's
A
launched,
smart
like,
bomb.
It's a smart bomb that has an inhalant that is like a bunch of like gene slammed
Yeah.
whatever.
So he's replaced the
So-
warhead with like this thing that is aerosolizer
this
of his.
with this bioweapon.
Right. So he's going to basically not nuke the entire city, but he's going to turn the entire city into these fish monsters. That's his
Right.
plan anyway. This guy's off the rocker. Yeah.
So like the one I guess it's
Ripster.
It's Ripster.
Yep.
It's Ripster.
Yep.
He sits down
At a
like,
computer.
time, at the computer, and I wrote the line down because I got so angry. And he just goes, "I aced assembly." He goes, "I aced assembly language,
Yeah.
but we didn't exactly cover cruise missiles."
Oh,
and I
boy.
just like I face palmed so hard. I was like, "Oh God, that's not."
Here's the best part
maybe
though. So
that's
they
how- like, but
yeah, right. So they
whatever.
use a little bit of
Give up.
smarts to like redirect the missile. Here's the funny part. In Cartoon Land, you redirect the missile at yourself. So they're like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
you redirected it back at us." And he's like, "Well, we got to clear out of here." And he's like, "Don't worry. I set the power plant to go." Oh my god, what was the word that he used? He basically just made it crap, what is the word? When it like overloads or whatever. Meltdown.
Goes critical.
Yeah, it goes critical. He's like, I set it to melt down. I'm like, well, hold on a second now. So you've got a bomb headed towards you that is going, when it explodes, it is going to release this vaporized gas that is going to turn everybody into nightmare fish monsters. And you've decided to also release a mushroom cloud of radiation over the entire city. You decided to combine these two things in hopes that they would cancel each other out. Cartoon logic, they do.
Right.
Reality, as close to reality as we can get with this scenario, probably much worse than originally either direction. So just everything's terrible in this show.
So
Especially
combine a
just-
terrorist attack with a natural disaster.
yeah, that'll be
Right.
much better. We need to talk
So
about their
just-
war cries and stuff too before we finish up.
So here
Yeah.
the idea that I had, the point that I was making earlier about the war cry and
Yes.
a lot of the things that they say, like in terms of like the war cries, the names,
The camaraderie.
all these things that
Yeah.
it seems like, all these things that it seems like they are totally in sync with,
Yeah.
like they're either said immediately and everybody else is just like, I accept this.
Yep.
I accept this.
Hey,
at
it's a
face
thing we're
value.
doing. Yeah.
Like they turn into sharks. I had to time this. All right, within 30 seconds of them turning into sharks,
Yeah.
in unison, they all look at each other and just go "Shark time!" And that like they're totally cool with it. Like they come up with the name Street Sharks because Benz is trying to tell some kid at a carnival.
Yeah. That they're
they're
not terrible
rebooting a-
carnivorous monsters.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That they're not gonna murder him.
Yeah.
Like so, like he just goes, "Oh yeah, we're rebooting this this carnival attraction, and it's called Street Sharks." And they just all 4 look at each
Yeah.
other, all 4 brothers, and they're just like, "Yeah, Street Sharks," and that's just it. Like decision fucking
Made. I do like
You
it. I
know,
wish
it-
Congress would work that way.
It was hilarious when they said Shark Time because I just thought to myself, No, it is not. It is time to have like a serious mental breakdown.
Yeah, like we need to go
went
talk
from-
to somebody.
You went from human to half shark, and you're just like, all right, well, I guess this is life now. Embrace it.
And they don't even, it's not even just like, it's shark time. They dive directly into the water. They're just kind of like, we're not even going to test this shit out. Like, we're sharks.
Right.
Done.
Like, here's the thing that's crazy. Like, we talked about, like, Sky Guy, like, giving, like, a lot of the exposition.
Right.
There was so much, and we talked about how this, like, 3-part miniseries is, like, an ADD haze.
Yep.
Like, there is so much that is just assumed by these 4 brothers that, like, I don't think in any other way that, like, you could ever assume these
like
things.
what,
it's
Sean? Like, what kinds of abilities might be assumed and not tested out before they all start doing it?
Just, like, punching and eating everything. Like,
They eat everything. They punch through everything.
Like, if this was something that, like, I mean, maybe as a 13, 14-year-old, I didn't take this lesson away. But this show now showed me that, like, if I have a problem,
Yeah.
it can be solved by just punching in a bunch and then putting it in my mouth.
Yeah. I mean, that would probably work for
here's
most of
the
your
thing.
problems, actually.
Like, I solved multiple problems today with that same methodology.
Yeah.
So you're welcome.
Shark time.
Tenderize the steak right before dinner.
There you go, man. Now, Matt made a great point earlier, too. I think he made it offline here. But, Matt, you remember their mode of transport before they got all their vehicles? And the physics difficulties involved with that?
Fuck.
Oh yeah,
Go ahead,
wasn't it the fucking van?
No, not even the vehicle. Just how these guys get around when it's time to rip up the streets.
Oh yeah, they're actually like shark swimming, which I don't know how that works with legs.
Nope.
But they're going through the fucking concrete.
Yeah, right through the asphalt, just carving it up everywhere they go.
Yeah,
And they all
like,
just
no
instantly do
sweat.
it. Like,
Just
they're not like, hey,
run
I
through the
wonder.
concrete.
Yeah, they're like, I wonder if we can do this. Nah, let's just fucking do it. Let's just carve it
Yeah,
up.
no, they just dive.
Just do
and
it.
again, they just dive right into shit. Like, they literally. I mean, they get right to it.
So what were your favorite? Okay, so they've got a number of taglines or war cries or whatever you want to call them, rally calls. What are your favorites? Because they use a lot of them. Do you have a favorite? Do you hate them all?
Oh,
No,
man.
well, I'll tell you one I hated the most,
Yeah.
and it was Shark Attack.
Oh, thank you. Because it's used incessantly.
Yeah,
Um,
like every 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was not
It's
even.
like-
I was telling the guys like I had a counter going. I was like, all right, they're gonna say this like 6 times, 7.
It's
8,
like a nervous tick,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's like a rally cry. They're like, oh, we're all standing around, shit's going down, not sure what to do. Shark attack! And they're all just like, hoo-hoo, yeah! It's just like a bunch of just like rowdy frat guys from a movie or something. That's their signal to
Yeah.
just go tear shit up and then eat it. Yeah. That's pretty much it.
I loved Jocelyn.
Ugh.
I mean, I know that I have used Jocelyn like in regular conversation years before we even rewatched this
Oh, boy.
over this last week. Like, I just use it every once in a while. I don't know. I thought it was funny, and so
It was their
just-
best tagline, I think.
It was their best tagline.
Yeah.
Everything else was pretty much hot.
They've
trash.
got some other one, like Feeding Frenzy. That one irritated me. It's when they basically go
Frenzy
into like
is
this weird
shitty.
bloodlust mode and they have like no control of themselves and just eat everything in sight, including
Okay,
Sky
so-
Guy. Yeah.
So that brings me to a question that
Shoot.
I wrote down. And so, did you have a favorite catchphrase, Dave? Before I ask this question.
I mean, Time to Rip Up the Streets is probably mine because I love the way that they said it the first time because Ripster has this moment where he's like, the other guys are going crazy and Ripster's like, whoa, hold on guys, if we keep going ballistic, they're going to believe the bad guy's story and they're not going to believe us. And they're like, oh, okay. And then he goes, so let's rip up the streets. And I'm like, well, fucking hold on
Yeah.
a second. You just said what you
Settle the
just
fuck down.
said 2 seconds ago was to calm down, and now you want to go rip up the streets. Ripster, I don't understand you. So that was my favorite line
Okay.
because it's just so
So-
obnoxious. Yeah.
So my question, Matt, Dave, for you guys.
Shoot.
All right. Are these street sharks dangerous?
Absolutely. Did you not watch any of the episodes where they like destroy an entire theme park single-handedly for no reason?
Matt, I don't know if you want to weigh in on
They should
this,
be
but
put down.
I felt like Matt's like my silence says it all. I'm
No,
feeling
you know,
solidarity.
honestly, I think they're too stupid to be dangerous.
Oh my
so-
god, that is like
Ooh.
they are dangerous because they are stupid.
All right, that's a fair
Ooh.
point.
I mean,
These are all good points.
these are all good points. They're incredibly strong, incredibly powerful, have an insatiable appetite. the powers of
For
the shark.
things that aren't actual food.
No.
Things that
Yeah,
are
for
not
just
actual
infrastructure,
supplements.
like bridges
Yeah.
and tower supports. They only eat
Rebar
metal.
all over the place.
Yeah, just
I don't give
the
a
city
shit.
is falling apart. What is our asphalt's all
Fuck.
torn up? Our buildings are falling down.
Yeah,
Roller
they're
coasters.
costing like millions of dollars
Yeah.
in like city damage every time they go out.
So are they dangerous?
Yeah,
Hell yeah,
and-
they are. Dude,
Matt
you
just-
give
Matt
these
just-
you
Matt
give
just
these
made
shark men, you give them ATVs, dune buggies, and motorcycles. Literally within 4 seconds of them getting them, they crash every single one. They crash every single vehicle and just decide to rip up the streets. I can't say it enough how much I hate this show. Go ahead. What are you gonna say?
No. I think Matt made the point. Like,
Yeah.
like these guys are just they are dangerous.
They're
I mean, you
jerks.
both made the point. Like they are dangerous and they are stupid and they are dangerous. Like I don't think one begats the other.
No, they make each other worse.
I think that they just compound the problem, like through and through. Like they're dangerous, but they're also stupid.
Yeah.
But they're stupid, but they're super dangerous.
See, but that
like,
I think that is perfectly encapsulated by making a mushroom cloud of radioactive DNA altering gas. I'm pretty sure that
That
everything
even-
is much
that
worse at
even-
the end of their miniseries than it was at the beginning. Everything is terrible.
that even Slash and Slopster were just like, oh no, radiation.
Yeah,
And
they got
like,
the fuck
run
out.
away.
Yeah, they're smarter
out of
than
there.
these guys. Terrible heroes. The only thing going for this show, I will say this: Dr. Piranha has 2 grappling hooks, so that's already awesome. And the one kid in the beginning, so they're going through this race, and there's like a stoner kid. The stoner kid wins the race. Why? Because he has a jetpack, and jetpack, my friends, makes this a somewhat tolerable show. But unfortunately, that's pretty much all the time we have for today. So any final thoughts on this show before we get to some plugs and some contact info? Anything from you guys on
I
this?
wish I didn't recommend this.
Well, hey, we all have our things here.
I am glad that you recommended this. I'm gonna say like I'm still on the fence about
Still,
this. Like
okay.
there's some real positive like things, and but there's also some crazy things in this.
Yep.
And I will say, my favorite part about this is that this show had a drug episode.
Oh, unfortunately, yeah, I didn't get to watch that one. So did you watch it?
And I watched
nice.
it, and I'm super happy with it.
Give us a
But yeah, I mean, like it. So Lena's, I guess like cousin or like younger brother, or some family member of hers. She like you see her dropping him off, and she's like, I have to go to this conference thing and like do all this like crap. So I'll see you in like 3 months. 3 months time.
3
Like,
months.
elapses, and
Yeah.
just so like Lena returns, and like Malik is giant, and the dialogue is just so ridiculous. Malik at one point, like as an excuse to like get out of a conversation, just goes, "I gotta go pump with my main man." And I was
Oh
like,
boy, that could be anything.
And at one point, Lena says to him, she just goes, "You're turning into a beef burger." And I was like, "Whoa,
What is happening?
Is this like a '90s like sex thing? Like what's going on?"
Is that
here?
like a good
it's just-
burger or something? I don't know
yeah.
what.
But it just so the ultimate thing was that like they were selling, like somebody was selling. Dr. Paranoid was behind the scheme to sell these like blue pills. I think they were called like Super Blue, and they were just crazy steroids. But the problem was that like anytime you took them, like you ran the risk of potentially having a heart attack.
Oh, of course.
But hundreds of these kids were taking them, and like not one heart attack out of the whole group.
Let me just point out
So
the
I was
irony
just
of
like, that's
this
bullshit.
particular
Well,
drug
that's
episode.
safer than Viagra.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Let me just point out the irony of this particular. Everything on this show looks like it was doing steroids and has been doing that for decades.
Everything on this show like is steroids.
Is
like,
just
this show
steroids
is
personified.
steroids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what a mess.
Anyway, the only highlight of this was that like Ripster goes undercover, and like you're thinking to yourself like, how does
I was intrigued by
Sharkman
this.
go undercover?
Yes. Did he wear a fedora?
He puts on shades.
Yes.
A jacket and cowboy boots.
Nailed it.
I'm not fucking.
No,
kidding.
hey man,
Like,
if Denver the Last Dinosaur can do it, then why can't Ripster?
I laughed so hard.
No, I'm totally just a regular dude like you. Not a giant
Yeah,
shark
and that-
mouth at all.
and that was the thing, was that he was trying to convince like the group of kids that like took and sold Super Blue,
Yes.
that like he was no longer a part of the Street Sharks, that he swam alone.
Oh, he's a
And I was
lone
like, oh my
shark.
God, I hope Super Blue is just a code for putting a bullet into your face. You ass, like, it's fucking terrible.
Wow.
Just shotgun it.
That's aggressive.
Shotgun it. What?
Yeah, well, I escalated quickly, but I mean, I just think with drug episodes, like, you can take it seriously to try to teach a lesson, or you can just be a bag of shit.
Yep.
And this, like, and this sadly was like, this was a drug episode that like it really did not take itself very seriously. Like unlike Brave Star and some of the other drug episodes
Yes,
we've watched,
so
where like
good.
there's an actual lesson and there's consequences to actions. This show, in no point in time, has any consequences to any actions.
Well,
ever.
and the fact that they're like saying like, don't do steroids, but look at me, I'm a giant steroid freak shark.
Right.
Just do me a favor, Ripster, chew on a gas cylinder and then have somebody just take a rifle shot
And then
to
have
it.
Roy Scheider shoot you in the
Exactly.
face.
Thank you for picking up what I'm putting down. That's where we're gonna leave Street Sharks for today. So it's time to move on. Are we gonna? We kind of said no to recommending this. Sean's still kind of on the fence, just to get it a solid here.
You know,
I'm gonna say no. Don't even bother.
I'd say, you know, I'd say watch the first episode just to see how kind of crazy it is.
Yeah.
But then I'd also say definitely watch the drug episode is called A Shark Among Us.
God.
I don't know what it is about these 80s and 90s cartoons with these drug episodes. I think they're so fun.
Federally
to watch.
mandated? I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, the one with Cops,
Tax
I think is still
assistance?
probably the one from Cops and the one from Brave Star are probably still
They're
my
solid.
two favorites.
Yeah, they're
just 'cause
solid.
They were solid.
Good stuff.
But this one just has little to no redeeming value.
Matt, this was your pick.
it's still
So
worth
so what do you think? What's your?
I'm going to go with Sean. I thought this show was, I mean, it was just so bad, but I thought it was funny bad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, treat yourself to like the
Treat
first
yourself.
three and just, just know it's going to be disappointing.
Oh boy, good stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's not disappointing? Fan email.
What?
Our first ever
Yeah,
fan
all right.
email. I'm very excited, about
excited
this.
about
Heck
this.
yeah. So this fan email comes from Jason from Wisconsin. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jason because he was kind enough to share what he does with me and with us. He tells us that he loves listening to the show. He's having a good time listening to it and kind of revisiting some of his nostalgia from growing up. So he's a big fan of old TV shows, and he's got a ton of just like recordings of 80s and 90s show blocks. So he's actually got like the live programming of those blocks along with the original commercials. So we kind of started talking because we post our retro like serial commercials and stuff on the site. We have a little fun with that.
Right.
He's also a graphic designer, so he likes a lot of the retro looks and the vintage cereal boxes, so he's got a lot of that too. He did make a few cartoon suggestions. I had not heard of any of these, so I'm very excited just to kind of check them out. I don't know if you guys have heard of them or not, so let me know. There's Bigfoot and the Muscle Machines.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Definitely not Bigfoot the Sasquatch, Bigfoot the monster truck, which I was very confused at first.
Yeah.
Rubik the Amazing Cube.
Whoa.
Yeah, never heard of that.
All right.
So
I'm
an obvious
interested. I like
obvious toy tie-in. And here's one that's got to be amazing. Chuck Norris Karate Commandos.
my God.
I
Oh
can't
my
even
God.
imagine. But yeah,
love it.
that one comes.
I can't even wait for the PSAs that must be at the end
Oh
of that show.
man, I just want to see the animation of that. I want to see that sweet,
Jason.
sweet mulleted mane in action. It's gonna be good stuff.
Jason, you rule.
Yeah, so thanks to Jason. Actually, Jason's got a pretty cool blog as well. It's about discontinued food items that are kind of like, you probably remember seeing them on the like checkout shelves in your grocery in the 80s and 90s. It's called Gone But Not Forgotten Groceries, and it's at gbnfgroceries.blogspot.com. We will definitely put that up on our show notes so you can check it out. It's cool. Like the first thing that's
Sweet.
up there right now is Hubba Bubba Soda. So it's like that Hubba Bubba bubble gum, but as a soda.
Oh,
so if that gives you kind of an idea of the crazy shit that came out of these marketing departments, man.
So many good like food items from this time, from when we were kids.
This is why we all have the diseases, my friends, because we ate all this shit.
This is just all sugar and just
Preservatives and just terrible stuff. But yeah, thanks again to Jason. It was very cool to hear from you, brother. So I hope you're doing well, and we'll try to send some people over to your site. As for plugs for ourselves, I'm going to continue talking and let you know what I've been up to. I'm still over at Collider.com now that the fall television season is upon us. You may have noticed an uptick in the comics and cartoon related shows on TV these days. They take themselves kind of seriously, but we have fun with it too. So we've got Gotham, we've got The Flash, we've got Arrow, we've got Walking Dead, and in a little bit we're going to have Constantine coming up too in a couple of weeks. If you're interested in my reviews of each of those shows, I'll be posting them over at Collider.com each week as they air. So yeah, starting this coming week, going to be pretty busy over there. So come on, stop by and check it out. As for you guys, Sean, I know you just had a recent the District Improv Festival in D.C. How did that go, my friend?
That went very well.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
We had a great time. I'm going to be doing some improv in DC at the DC Arts Center, or DCAC. On October 17th, October 24th, and October 31st, I'll be performing at DCAC at 7:30 for all 3 of those nights with my group Nox. That's NOX exclamation point.
Very cool.
And you can find tickets at WashingtonImprovTheater.com.
Yeah, and again, we'll have all that information up on our site when this post goes live. We're going to be posting them on Saturdays from now on because, hey, guess what? No more Saturday morning cartoons on the TV.
Boo.
So we're just going to have this podcast for you and the kiddies to listen to instead. Asterisk, don't let the kids listen to it because I say fuck all the time. Moving on.
Oh God, no!
Yeah.
You're either the best parent or the worst parent.
Either way, but we support you either way.
Yeah, you're the best.
Baron, anything coming up from you on the West Coast?
No.
No, just getting into
No.
watching them Giants beat the Pirates in the baseball.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, terrible.
Really funny.
Terrible. Hey, you know what might be funny? Next week's episode. I have no idea. I have no idea how this show is going to be. We're gonna do
right.
part 2 of our Rankin Bass Productions. Part 2 of 3. You guys may have remembered Tiger Sharks, which astoundingly enough had more character development than Street Sharks. I don't know how they managed to do that. So we've already started with Tiger Sharks. We're gonna work our way back. We're gonna be talking Silverhawks next week.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Silverhawks. I tell you what, I don't remember much from the show itself, but that theme song is a winner for all the wrong reasons. It is just a delight. Yeah, so that's what we'll be talking about next time on Saturday Morning Cartoons. Let's talk about a little bit of contact information where you guys can find us. So, we are at SaturdayMorningCartoons.com, and again, that's morning with a U. You can find us on our Tumblr page. Sean has been uploading a ton of craziness. That is an ADD haze over there if you want to wander around our Tumblr page for a while.
You're welcome.
Oh, I love it. SaturdayMorningCartoons.tumblr.com. You can follow us at Twitter, at MorningTunes. You can find me on Twitter, at DrClawMD. Sean, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Paul Ellis.
And Matt Barron?
At Bag of Sandwiches.
Yeah, that's the best. That's the
The
best.
best.
And if you want to be awesome like Jason from Wisconsin and get a shout out here, and maybe plug some of your stuff too if you're into some cool stuff, send us an email at SaturdayMorningCartoons@gmail.com. That's pretty much all the time we have for today. Until next time, we'll be talking Silverhawks. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on Saturday Morning Cartoons.